peace, love, and wisdom to all who have clicked this message. And in this message, we're dealing with the same thing we've been dealing with, and that's the demonization of the black religions and the misrepresentation of the Yoruba, and the misrepresentation of the Orisha, and the misrepresentation of ancient Kemet, or what the white theologians have deemed Egypt. Understand that the word Egypt means slavery. It's a word that the white theologians and white philosophers of ancient times had invented to tell you in present times that this is a land where they have ravished, robbed the people there of their gods, taken some of those people from those lands and brought them to the hells of North America. And the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that we were robbed of our names and robbed of our entitlement. And the Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that when you're robbed of your entitlement, you're robbed of your names. So the names that we bear are not the names of our ancestors. Most of us, not every black man in the hells of North America was brought here through the Atlantic slave trade. But we understand from the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and his students that we do not bear our names. So we have to go back into the history and find out why we have been robbed of our entitlement. So we're dealing with Kemet. To understand Kemet, you have to understand that we're not talking about a little space called Egypt. At one point, Kemet was Ancient Khemet, or the foremost of Kem, and you had Sudan, which is now Sudan, but was Kush, or the Kushite. This is the land that also encompass Lower Egypt, which is Upper Egypt in your mind, but is Lower Egypt on the map. So we're talking about most of Africa, almost the whole continent. We're not talking about some little space in North Africa called Egypt. That's the land that you see now. Don't get so caught up in these maps now, because they are also a misrepresentation of the world. So we're looking at Egypt or Kemet. And when we're looking at Egypt or Kemet, we have to look at authors who specialize in this type of work and research, because if we come to you, black man and black woman, and we give you our opinion, we've seen in the past that when we do that, you later on, when we go away, or we become ostracized by the white theologians who have monopolized the history of the world, if we don't come with their research, you deny us. So we must come with the research from their books. So we're dealing with Gerald Massey in a book called Egypt, Light of the World, Volume 1 and 2. And in the book, at the back of the book, he gives a chart of all of the Coptic Egyptian words and the Coptic Egyptian theories, and then he puts them next to what they have been turned into now. Understand that all of the Coptic Egyptian theories were mythology, and we learned from the video before this, dealing with African alchemy, which we're still dealing with in this one, that the mythology is not really mythology. The mythology is a hidden code for the initiated, but the uninitiated turned it into religion. So in Egypt, Light of the World by Gerald Massey, he says the mysteries of ancient Kemet became the miracles of Hebrew. He says the sim, or the mythical representation, became the parables. The Egyptian Book of the Dead, or the Book of Coming Forth by Day, which we're going to deal with today, is just the Book of Revelations. The sayings of Lu-Imhotep are the sayings of Jesus. Ra, or the Holy Spirit, is God, the Holy Spirit. Lu, or Horus, Mani, of God, is Jesus, the manifestation of the Son of God. Jesus, Lusu or Lusa, is the coming son of Lucis, who was great with Lusa or Lusu. Mary is Isis, the virgin mother of Lu, her Su, or her son. Seb is a consort to Isis. And Isis is also Athena. Isis is also Mary. Seb is also Joseph, the husband of the virgin mother, or Mary. Joseph is Seb, the builder of the house in Kemet. Satan and Jesus is Heru and Sut, the twin opponents. Sut and Heru on the mountain is Jesus and Satan on the mountain contending. Peter, or the revealer to Christ, Saint Peter, is the Peter, or the Petra, by name in Kemet, as revealer to Heru or Horus. Jesus washes the disciples' feet. In Kemet, the great one who does the work of the washing. Hermes, the scribe, is Hermas, the scribe. Jesus of Bethlehem is Horus or Heru, born in Anu, the place of bread. And we know that Bethlehem is the place of bread. Metaphysically, Bethlehem is also the place of knowledge. Anytime you see bread in the Bible, anytime you see bread or food in the Quran or any of the holy books or when you look into E. Wallace Budge's translation of the Egyptian book of Coming Forth by Day or the Book of the Dead, the Kemet Book of the Dead. Anytime you see bread, food, it's talking about knowledge. Anytime you see sustenance, it's not talking about an actual food. And then the last on Egypt, Light of the World, Volume 1 and 2, Gerald Massey's list of how the Kemetic teachings have been misrepresented or taken by the European philosophers. So it says Ta, Shu, and the Black Sut are the three kings of Magi. So we're seeing how slowly and slowly through these messages, we're bringing the ancient world through the Bible. And one of the ways to do this is to understand some of the ancient writings and see, to show you proof, black man and black woman, that what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us was true. Not only were we robbed of our names, but we were robbed of our God and robbed of our history. And we're going to prove that to you today. In the E. Wallace Budge translation of the Egyptian Book of the Dead or the Book of Coming Forth by Day, we're looking at something called the 7 Arits. And the 7 Arits are a same or a relevant to or in relevance to the book of Revelations. And we're going to prove that. There are 7 Arits and there are 7 seals in the book of Revelation. And that's from Revelation chapter 6 through 8. There's 7 seals. And in the first arit of the book of Coming Forth by Day, it says, Say, when he cometh unto the first arit, I am the mighty one, who created his own light. I have come unto thee, O Osiris, and purified from that which defieth thee. I adore thee. Lead on. Let the pain of the Osiris be relieved. Embrace that which the balance hath weighed. So let's look at this. When you're talking about Osiris, one of the representations of Osiris is an eye. So when you're talking about the Osiris, you're talking about the eye. But we're not talking about your 2 eyes that are sitting inside of your head. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the metaphysical eye or the third eye or the pineal gland. So we're talking about the meditation eye. And if you look into the book of Revelations, or the book of Revelations, chapter 6 through 8, it's talking about the first seal. And then it reads, He who sat on it had a bow, and a crown was given to him. And he went out conquering and to conquer. Well, then look in the first arit of the book of Coming Forth by Day. Say, when he cometh unto the first arit, or the first seal, I am the mighty one, who created his own light. I have come unto thee, O Osiris, and purified from that which defieth thee. I adore thee. Lead on. So we're talking about conquering, but not conquering like the Europeans and those slave masters came into the lands of the ancient indigenous people and conquered the lands and colonized and tribalized the lands. We're not talking about that kind of conquer. We're talking about the conquer of the highest mind, going into that first stage of realizing that you want to be an initiated soul. So we're dealing with some heavy stuff, and we're not dealing with anything religious. We're dealing with the metaphysics or how the Bible should be read. So we're going in now to the second arit. And in the second arit, we're going to see some similarities in the second seal. In the second arit of E. Wallace Budge's translation of the Book of Coming Forth by Day. And it says, He cometh to the second arit. He sitteth to carry out his heart's desire, and he weigheth words as the second of Thoth. The strength which protective Thoth humbled the hidden mighty gods, who feed upon Mot during the years of their life. Well, let's look into the second seal in the Holy Bible, King James Version, chapter 6 through 8 of Revelations. I heard the second seal, living creature saying, Come and see. It was granted to the one who sat on it to take peace from the earth, that people should kill one another. And there was given to him a great sword, So we're going to look at this. In the second Arit, it says, and he weigheth words as a second thought, the strength which he protecteth, that humble the hidden Mati gods. So when we're talking about Mati, we're talking about the truth. Mati means the truth. So we're dealing with Thoth. Thoth is the Hermes of the European mythology. Or Thoth would also be Elegua in the Orisha. Or Ishu, Pan, or it's been deduced down to confuse the masses, and now they just call it plain old Satan. But we're not dealing with some evil thing. We're dealing with some heavy stuff. So you got to open up your mind. Every time someone says Satan to you, you get so scared. But this Satan they invented. The white theologians invented Satan to steer you away from your own black African religions. So we're going to prove that through these messages. But we're dealing with the book of coming forth by day, and then we're comparing it to the book of Revelation. And we were in the second Arit, but now we're going to move on to the third Arit, or the third seal. Remember, we're dealing with these Arits and seals because we want to prove that these are the same books. They've just told you that the Egyptian religions are demon religions and monsters, and they were pagans. You know, the word pagan simply means someone who studies a religion outside of the Islamic or Christian religions. So when you say pagan, what is this? Why do you look at it as such a derogatory thing? We got to deal with the words, and we got to deal with the objective. So in the third Arit of E. Wallace Budge's translation of the book of coming forth by day, the name of the herald is say it. I am he who was hidden in the great deep. I am the judge. I have come and I have done away with the offensive things which was upon Osiris. I have balanced the place whereon he standeth. And remember, Osiris is talking about the pineal gland. It's not talking about a god. It's not talking about a god. Mythology is just a code to get you into the real stuff. So let's go into the third seal in the Bible. So come and see. It was granted to the one who sat on it to take peace from the earth, that people should kill one another. And there was given to him a great sword. And when he opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, come, see. I looked, and behold, a black horse, and he who sat on it had a pair of scales in his hand. Now let's look at this. In the third Arit of the book of coming forth by day, or the Kemetic, or the Egyptian book of the dead, it says in the third Arit, I have balanced the place where he standeth. I am the judge. I have come and done away with the offensive thing. And in the book of Revelation, in the third seal, the judge holding the scales on the black horse has come. What is the difference? They add a black horse to it and say, they're telling you, black man and black woman, that the book of Revelation is some ultimate Armageddon war that's going to come down. So what they do is they spin it to you. So now they can cause wars around the world and say, oh, well, this is just the Bible coming to flourishing. Open up your minds and open up your heart. Listen to your brothers and listen to your sisters who are trying to give you the metaphysical knowledge of the Bible. There's no great war. We have never been in peace in the hills of North America. We've never not been in war. So what war are you talking about? The Civil War? The Revolutionary War? World War I? World War II? We're always in war. We're in war right now. Been there for 16 years. We're always in war. War is an element. War is an alchemaic element. When you had Elegua, witness, Oduwa in the Eurisha, turn into Obatala, that was your war coming out of man. Because before Oduwa was like Odudumari and was just a god. But then that god got angry. And that god turned into war. We're not talking about a god, and we're not talking about Obatala. We're not talking about the Arits, truly. We're talking about alchemy, and we're talking about the metaphysics of both of the books. So we're going to have to deal with and learn, these are the reasons why the white theologians and those who support white supremacy have monopolized Egyptology. Well, we should let them have it, because we know from these messages and the teachings of those before us that there is no such thing as Egypt. That's a word that you all have invented, which means bondage or slavery. Egypt, the true Egypt, is almost the entire continent of Africa. So just because one speaks of Kemet, if you know, then you know that we're not speaking of one little part. You're just looking at the political map that you see now. So we're dealing with a time of judgment. But what kind of judgment? Like I said, we're not talking about a mass judgment of man. This theory is a spook teaching. And the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the spook teachers have rendered the words in a way to where they can make evil seem fair seeming, and they can make the good seem the bad, and the bad seem the good. We're giving you the bad and the good. The good is, we're not talking about a mass war and a mass judgment. If we've been in a judgment, or if we're going to a judgment, it's the metaphysical judgment of your inner self. Who are you? You're the only person that can judge yourself. Who are you if you're judging someone else? So we know that no man is the judge but that own man. So we're dealing with the cycles of the rising of the Kundalini or the rising of the chakras in the body. We're not dealing with some Armageddon. The Armageddon, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, is when the hells of North America begin to fall, and not fall in a way, a physical fall, but we're talking about an economic fall. We're talking about a social fall. Because we know as blacks in the hells of North America, we've always been in an economic fall. We've always been in a social fall. We've always been segregated from each other and our counterparts on the earth. So then, once again, when the white theologians and your reverends and ministers and rabbis are speaking to you in this theorized spook teaching way, listen out of respect, but know that their teachings, these are not their faults. They have also been colonialized. They have also been taught backwards, upside down, and they are misreading these holy books, and they're misreading and misrepresenting the Yoruba, calling it voodoo all across the motion pictures. If you look into any modern scary movie or horror movie, when they go back into the origin of that demon, or when they go back into the origin of that monster or that evil person or the nature spirit that made them evil, it's always from Africa. It's always from Egypt. What are you trying to say? That's what you have to ask them. What are you trying to say? Are you trying to say that we're demons? You're trying to say that all black religion is from hell? Is that what you're saying? Oh no. We know this not to be true. And we don't need a book to tell us that, because we see how you've taken our gods and the aspects of our gods and put them into your own gods. But you say, this voodoo is voodoo and it's evil. This Yoruba is evil, demon, magic, witchcraft. But what we're teaching you is exactly the same, but join our religion. So we're not demanding any religions. We're just telling you, this is how white supremacy really works. Ending this message, we're challenging anybody, any color, any creed, any scholar of any degree of knowledge. Bring your articles, bring your books, we have more. Bring your notes, we have more. Bring your mind with intelligent dialogue, and we will sit down with you, and we will have intelligent dialogue. And we will discuss the European and white monopolization of history.